Welcome to this journey through the darkest corners of our modern digital age, where mysteries don't fade with time but multiply with every click, every share, every unanswered question. Tell us where you're watching from now, because this story will disturb you in a way few other accounts can. Not through ancient folklore or dusty archives, but through the unsettling realization that the internet, this thing we touch every single day, holds secrets that may never be solved. We're about to delve into mysteries that have haunted millions of users across the globe, where anonymous individuals posted cryptic messages, disappeared without explanation, and left behind digital breadcrumbs that lead nowhere. These are not campfire tales passed down through generations. These are contemporary enigmas, documented in real time, witnessed by thousands, yet remaining as impenetrable as any locked room mystery from centuries past. It was the year 1991. The World Wide Web was born, a creation meant to connect humanity, to democratize information, to shine light into every corner of human knowledge. But light, as we know, always casts shadows, and in those shadows, in the vast unmapped territories of cyberspace, things began to appear that defied explanation. Things that terrified, things that vanished, things that remain. To understand the mysteries we're about to explore, we must first understand the landscape that birthed them. The internet of the early 2000s was not the sanitized, corporate, controlled space we navigate today. It was wild, lawless, a frontier where anonymity was the default and nothing was truly deleted, yet everything could vanish. Forums hummed with activity at all hours. Message boards connected strangers across continents. And crucially, there was no central authority watching, cataloging, preserving. This was the golden age of internet mystery. Unlike historical cases where authorities could interview witnesses, examine physical evidence, or consult written records, digital mysteries operate in a different dimension entirely. IP addresses can be spoofed, usernames can be abandoned, entire websites can disappear overnight, taking their contents into the void. The very medium that should make investigation easier, everything documented, everything timestamped, instead creates a labyrinth where truth and fabrication intertwine so completely that separation becomes impossible. Consider this: when a person disappeared in 1932, investigators could search forests, question neighbors, examine personal belongings. When someone disappears from the internet, they simply stop posting. Their accounts go silent, and in that silence, 1,000 theories bloom, each more elaborate than the last. The internet remembers everything and nothing. It archives obsessively while allowing crucial evidence to slip through its fingers like digital sand. This is the paradox at the heart of every mystery we'll explore tonight. Picture yourself alone at 2:47 a.m., the only light in your room emanating from your computer screen. Outside, the world sleeps, but online, millions are awake, scrolling, searching, posting into the void. This is when the barriers feel thinnest, when the distinction between the real world and the digital realm blurs. The cases we're examining tonight share common elements that make them particularly unsettling. They involve real people who left behind evidence, posts, videos, photographs that raise more questions than they answer. They've been investigated by amateur detectives and professional authorities alike, with no conclusive resolution. And they continue to generate theories, speculation, and sleepless nights for those who dare to dig too deeply. These are not creepypastas, not viral marketing campaigns, not ARG designed to entertain. These are genuine mysteries where real people vanished, real accounts went silent, and real families were left with nothing but unanswered questions and a trail of cryptic digital footprints. Let us begin with a case that exemplifies the peculiar horror of internet mysteries, a horror rooted not in violence or supernatural phenomena, but in the profound unease of the unexplained. In March 2011, a video appeared on YouTube, 11 seconds long, grainy, silent. It showed a stuffed toy sitting on what appeared to be a wooden floor in an otherwise empty room. The lighting was dim, almost deliberately obscured, casting long shadows that seemed to move despite the stillness of the image. For weeks, the video languished in obscurity, one tiny day, a point among billions uploaded daily. Then someone noticed something in the video's description: coordinates. GPS coordinates pointing to a specific location. Users began to investigate. The coordinates led to a remote area in rural Poland, near the town of Białystok. Dense forest, minimal development, the kind of place where cell phone signals flickered and died, where isolation was measured in kilometers rather than meters. Several internet sleuths documented their attempts to visit the location. They posted photographs of thick pine forests, narrow dirt roads, abandoned structures reclaimed by vegetation. One user claimed to have found the exact spot indicated by the coordinates, a small clearing where the ground showed signs of recent disturbance. But here's where the mystery deepens in that uniquely digital way. Within days of these investigations being posted online, the original video disappeared. Not deleted by the uploader, the entire account vanished as if it had never existed. YouTube's automated systems showed no record of it. Archives that should have captured it came up empty, yet hundreds of people remembered it. Forums dedicated to strange internet phenomena buzzed with theories. Someone had downloaded the video and re-uploaded it, preserving this digital artifact. But the re-uploads lacked something crucial: the metadata, the exact posting time, the original description with those coordinates. Theories multiplied like bacteria in a petri dish. Some claimed A439 was a code, perhaps referencing a road, a unit designation, a date. Others suggested the video was part of a human trafficking operation, with the stuffed toy serving as a marker for a dead drop location. The most disturbing theory proposed that the coordinates marked a burial site, and the video was a perpetrator's confession, hidden in plain sight where only the initiated would understand. Polish authorities were contacted. According to a statement given to local media, they investigated the coordinates, but found nothing of significance. No bodies, no evidence of recent digging beyond what might be expected in a forested area, no signs of criminal activity. The case should have ended there. It didn't. In November 2011, 8 months after the original video's appearance, another account appeared. Same format, newly created, no history, single upload. This video was 14 seconds long. Same room, same lighting, same stuffed toy. But this time, the toy had moved. It now sat in a different position, facing a different direction. New coordinates, new location, this time in northern Hungary, near the Slovakian border, another remote area. Another forest, the pattern was emerging, and with it, a creeping dread among those following the case. Online communities mobilized with impressive speed. Users from across Europe volunteered to visit the new coordinates. Documentation poured in: photographs, GPS readings, video footage of the Hungarian forest. One investigator, posting under the username Trail Marker, provided particularly detailed accounts of his visit to the B621 location. According to his posts, archived on several mystery forums, the coordinates led to an area near an abandoned industrial facility dating back to the Soviet era. The buildings were skeletal, stripped of anything valuable, covered in graffiti and decay. The specific GPS point was approximately 30 meters from the main structure, in an area where the forest had begun reclaiming the land. Trail Marker described finding a small depression in the ground, roughly rectangular, about 2 meters by 1 meter. The earth appeared settled, as if whatever disturbance had occurred had happened months or years prior, not recently. He photographed it from multiple angles, noting the unnaturally straight edges that suggested deliberate excavation. He also noted something else: a symbol carved into a nearby tree, crude, weathered, possibly recent, possibly decades old. The symbol resembled a stylized letter or number, though its exact meaning remained unclear. His posts stopped 3 days after his visit to the coordinates. The account went silent, no farewell message, no explanation, just absence. Other users attempted to contact Trail Marker through various means, email addresses listed on his profile, other forums where he'd been active, even reaching out to local authorities in his home city. Of Dresden, nothing. The digital trail ended abruptly, as if he'd simply decided to disconnect from the internet entirely. Or as if something else had happened. Over the next 18 months, 7 more videos appeared, each following the identical format. Same room, same stuffed toy in different positions, different coordinate sets, all pointing to remote locations across Central and Eastern Europe. Czech Republic, near Karlovy, very eastern Poland, Beloieza Forest region, Romania, Carpathian Mountains, southern Slovakia, near Kosice, Ukraine, western region, Austria, rural Styria, northern Serbia. Vojvodina region, each video appeared from a freshly created account, each vanished within weeks of discovery. And each prompted investigations by curious internet users who documented their visits to these increasingly remote locations. Not all investigators disappeared like Trail Marker, most returned with photographs, measurements, theories. But a disturbing pattern emerged in their reports. Many noted feelings of being watched, of unease that went beyond normal apprehension about visiting remote locations. Several reported finding similar symbols carved into trees or scratched onto rocks near the coordinate points. One investigator, a woman posting as Digital Ghost, documented her visit to the I-331 coordinates in Serbia with particular thoroughness. Her video footage showed a sparse, snow-covered field with a single bare tree standing like a sentinel. The coordinates pointed to the base of this tree. In her narration, recorded on site, she described the profound silence of the location. No birds, she noted, no wind, just this absolute quiet that makes your ears ring. She circled the tree, filming from multiple angles, showing the same crude symbol others had found carved deep into the bark on the side facing east. Before leaving, she did something others hadn't. She dug, not deeply, just surface, level scraping with a small folding shovel she'd brought. The frozen ground resisted, but after several minutes of work, she broke through. The soil underneath was dark. Rich, and according to her description, it smelled wrong, not like earth, she said into the camera. Like chemicals, artificial, wrong. She collected a sample in a plastic bag, sealed it, and left. Her final post on the investigation thread came 2 weeks later. She'd had the soil analyzed by a laboratory in Belgrade. The results confused rather than clarified. The sample contained unusually high levels of calcium and phosphorus elements abundant in bone, but no actual bone fragments. It also contained trace amounts of industrial compounds consistent with preservatives used in textile manufacturing. She concluded, "I don't know what this means, but something was here. Something was buried or placed here, and whatever it was, it's gone now." Digital Ghost continued posting in various forums until 2014, then gradually became less active. Not vanished like Trail Marker, just faded, as users do when life pulls their attention elsewhere. But her investigation raised the question that haunted everyone following the case. What were these coordinates marking? The A439 case spawned innumerable theories, each attempting to impose order on the chaos of unexplained data. Some argued the entire sequence was an elaborate art installation exploring themes of digital archaeology, human curiosity, and the transformation of physical space into digital coordinates. The mysterious disappearances, coincidental or exaggerated by internet rumor mills, this theory had merit. The uniformity of the videos, the deliberate obscurity, the geographical pattern, these suggested intention, design, artistic vision. But it failed to explain the physical evidence, the symbols carved into trees, the disturbed earth, the strange soil composition. And it certainly didn't explain Trail Marker's disappearance. A darker interpretation suggested the videos mocked locations significant to organized crime burial sites, weapons caches, meeting points. The stuffed toy could be a signal, its changing position indicating status, updates visible only to those who knew the code. This theory aligned with the remote locations, the deliberate obscurity, the quick deletion of videos. But it raised questions too. Why use public platforms like YouTube? Why make it so discoverable? Wouldn't truly criminal operations use encrypted channels invisible to casual internet users? Perhaps A439 was a twisted variation on geocaching, that innocent hobby where people hide containers in the wilderness for others to find. But instead of trinkets and logbooks, these coordinates mocked something far more sinister. The problem with this theory was simple. Nobody ever reported finding anything at the locations. Just symbols, disturbed earth, that persistent sense of wrongness. The most unsettling possibility was that a 439 represented something genuinely inexplicable. A project whose purpose remained hidden, whose goals were inscrutable, whose creators operated according to logic that defied conventional understanding. This was the theory that kept people awake at night. Not because it was the most plausible, but because it acknowledged the limits of human knowledge, the possibility that some mysteries resist solution not due to lack of evidence, but because evidence points towards something we lack the framework to comprehend. The sequence ended in April 2013 with the upload of J888. This video broke the pattern. Instead of 11 to 14 seconds, it ran for 41 seconds. The stuffed toy remained in frame, but now the camera panned slowly across the room, revealing details previously hidden. Bare wooden floorboards, warped with age, walls stripped of paint, showing layers of different colors underneath like geological strata. A single window covered with black cloth, and in the corner, barely visible in the murky lighting, what appeared to be a doorway leading into deeper darkness. The coordinates pointed to a location in the Bohemian forest, the dense woodland straddling the Czech-German border. Historical records indicate this area was once dotted with small villages that were abandoned after World War II, when German populations were expelled and the borderland became a restricted military zone during the Cold War. Multiple investigative teams attempted to reach the J888 coordinates. All encountered the same obstacle. The exact point fell within what remained of a military restricted area. Access required permissions that were difficult to obtain. The Czech government's bureaucracy moved slowly. By the time proper authorization was secured and approved, months had passed. When investigators finally reached the location in autumn 2013, they found the ruins of a small structure, perhaps a hunting cottage or shepherd's hut from the pre-war era. The building had partially collapsed, its roof caving inward, its walls surrendering to decades of weathering and neglect. Inside, they found the room from the videos. They knew it immediately. Same floorboards with that distinctive warp pattern. Same walls with their layered paint. Same window, though the black cloth had long since rotted away. The stuffed toy was gone, of course, but its absence felt more significant than its presence would have. Because in finding the room, in standing where the camera had stood, the investigators gained no answers. Only more questions. Why this room? Why these coordinates? Why the elaborate sequence of videos leading across half a continent? One investigator picked up a piece of debris from the floor, a fragment of old newspaper, yellowed and brittle. The date was visible, October 1948. Whatever had happened in this room, this building had witnessed it for decades. While A439 operated through visual cryptography and geographical puzzles, our next case demonstrates how internet mysteries can emerge from the most mundane digital interactions, forum posts, comment threads, casual conversations that suddenly twist into something darker. In 2009, a Reddit user with the handle Religion of Peace became known in certain communities for posting helpful, articulate comments about military tactics, international affairs, and computer security. Nothing unusual. The internet abounds with knowledgeable users sharing expertise, but some users began noticing patterns in Religion of Peace's post history. Scattered among technical discussions were cryptic references to something called Lake City Quiet Pills. The phrase appeared in contexts that seemed deliberately vague responses to other users' questions about problem solving or permanent solutions. That could be interpreted as dark humor or something far more sinister. Curious users investigated. They discovered that Lake City Quiet Pills was mentioned in connection with several other usernames, all seeming to operate in a loose network. These accounts discussed contracts, neutralizations, and client satisfaction in language that read like business jargon but carried unmistakable violent undertones. The most disturbing discovery came when investigators matched Religion of Peace's posting patterns with real-world events. On several occasions, the user would go silent for a week or two, then return with oblique comments about jobs in specific regions: Mexico, Eastern Europe, North Africa. In the days or weeks following these posts, news outlets would report contract killings or mysterious disappearances in those same regions. Coincidence? Quite possibly. The world is large, violence unfortunately common. Confirmation bias could easily create patterns from random data. But then Religion of Peace made a mistake. In a 2009 post discussing technical aspects of long-range shooting, the user mentioned specific details about a recent assassination in Mexico, details that had not been reported in any public media. Source: the comment was quickly deleted, but as always on the internet, deletion means nothing. Multiple users had already captured screenshots. The post mentioned a correction shot fired after the initial hit, a detail that matched exactly what Mexican authorities would later reveal about the crime scene. It described the weapon used with technical precision that proved accurate when the gun was eventually recovered. And it referenced a specific location marker, a yellow water tower, that appeared in leaked crime scene photographs but had never been publicly disclosed. The implications were staggering. Either Religion of Peace had inside knowledge of the killing, or the user had been directly involved. Reddit's administrators were contacted, law enforcement agencies were notified, and for a brief window it seemed the mystery might be solved, the network exposed, justice served. Then all the accounts vanished, not just Religion of Peace, but the entire network of associated usernames. Deleted simultaneously, their post histories scrubbed. The subreddit where they'd been most active, which had seemed to be an innocuous discussion board about self-sufficiency and survival skills, went private, then disappeared entirely. The users investigating Lake City Quiet Pills found themselves staring at broken links and error messages. The evidence they'd been compiling, the connections they'd been mapping, all relied on content that no longer existed in accessible form. But the internet, as we've established, remembers. Determined researchers combed through archive sites, cached pages, screenshot collections. They pieced together fragments of the Lake City Quiet Pills network like digital archaeologists assembling pottery shards. What emerged was deeply unsettling. The network appeared to operate as a murder for hire service, but one that used internet forums as a screening mechanism. Potential clients would post in specific subreddits using coded language asking about pest control or permanent problem solving in ways that seemed unusual but not obviously criminal. Network members would identify these posts and make contact through private messages, moving the conversation off public platforms. The Lake City Quiet Pills phrase itself appeared to be a reference to professional assassinations, permanent silence delivered with clinical efficiency. Lake City is a neighborhood in Seattle, but also a municipality in Florida and a common place name across the United States. The deliberate ambiguity meant the phrase could be used openly without immediately triggering suspicion. According to analysis by Internet researchers, the network had been operating since at least 2007, possibly earlier. Posts traced back through archive sites suggested dozens of members, though determining which accounts were genuinely part of the operation versus curious observers or trolls proved impossible. One researcher, posting under the pseudonym Deep.Web, claimed to have interviewed someone who'd had contact with the network. According to this source, whose credibility remained unverifiable, Lake City Quiet Pills operated with professional discipline. Members used encryption. They never discussed specific details on public forums. They vetted potential clients carefully, refusing jobs that might draw excessive attention. The source described the network as viewing themselves as providing a necessary service in a world where legal systems failed to deliver justice, where powerful individuals operated with impunity, where conventional law enforcement couldn't or wouldn't act. Vigilantes, they called themselves, not criminals. After the 2009 exposure, Lake City Quiet Pills disappeared from the internet entirely. No more coded posts. No more cryptic discussions. The users who'd been part of the network either abandoned their accounts or, perhaps more disturbingly, simply stopped discussing the subject and continued participating in other online communities. As if nothing had happened, law enforcement investigations led nowhere. The FBI confirmed they'd looked into the matter, but found insufficient evidence to pursue charges. IP addresses associated with key accounts traced to proxy servers, public Wi-Fi networks, and addresses that proved to be dead ends. The technical sophistication suggested people who understood digital security deeply. To this day, debate rages about whether Lake City Quiet Pills was real or an elaborate role-playing game that got out of hand. The evidence cuts both ways. The operational security was too good. Some argued real criminals make mistakes, leave traces. But others pointed to the specific, verifiable details in posts, the patterns matching real-world events, the abrupt disappearance when exposure threatened. The most chilling aspect isn't the uncertainty about what Lake City Quiet Pills was. It's the certainty that whatever it was, it knew when to stop. The network demonstrated exactly the kind of disciplined response one would expect from a professional operation. When compromised, shut down immediately, scatter, erase evidence, disappear. If it was an elaborate hoax, the participants displayed remarkable coordination and commitment to the fiction. If it was real, then somewhere in our world, people who discussed murder casually in Reddit comments walked free, their crimes hidden behind layers of encryption and anonymity. And perhaps most disturbingly, if Lake City Quiet Pills existed, what other networks operate in plain sight, conducting dark business beneath the surface of our everyday internet use? Not all internet mysteries involve death or violence. Some disturb through sheer inexplicability, through the mechanical repetition of meaningless content that suggests purpose without revealing it. In September 2013, a YouTube channel named WebDriver Torso began uploading videos, lots of videos. Hundreds, then thousands, then tens of thousands. All following an identical format, 11 seconds long, showing simple geometric shapes, red and blue rectangles sliding across a white background while a computer generated voice intoned Aqua. Or Velar, that's it, nothing more, no variation, no explanation. The channel uploaded these videos relentlessly, sometimes dozens per day, maintaining a pace that suggested automated generation rather than human creation. Within months, WebDriver Torso had amassed over 70 virtually identical videos, the internet noticed. Unlike a 439 or Lake City Quiet Pills, WebDriver Torso didn't hide. The channel was public, the uploads constant, the pattern obvious. Yet its purpose remained completely opaque. Theories proliferated. Espionage. The videos were steganographic messages, hiding encrypted data within seemingly meaningless content. The geometric shapes and audio cues were instructions or intelligence reports for operatives. Technical testing. The channel was running automated tests of YouTube's upload infrastructure, video processing, or compression algorithms. The bland content ensured nothing copyrighted or controversial would interfere. Art project. Another instance of digital art exploring themes of automation, meaninglessness, and human pattern seeking behavior. Numbers station, a digital equivalent of shortwave radio numbers stations, broadcasting coded messages to unknown recipients across the open internet. The mystery gained enough attention that media outlets began investigating. Tech journalists contacted YouTube directly. Cryptographers analyzed the videos for hidden patterns. Data scientists scraped every upload looking for variations, anomalies, deviations from the standard format. And they found something. Among the tens of thousands of geometric videos, exactly one showed something different, a brief flash frame of the Eiffel Tower. Inserted into an otherwise standard upload, visible for less than a second, easy to miss unless you were specifically looking frame by frame through the footage. The Eiffel Tower image reignited speculation. Was this a clue, a signature, an error in the automated process? Then, in April 2014, YouTube itself stepped forward with an answer. According to the company's official statement, WebDriver Torso was indeed a testing channel run by YouTube's own engineers to verify upload quality across different network conditions. The videos tested how the platform handled simple graphics, assessed compression algorithms, and monitored for errors in the upload process. The Eiffel Tower image was from an engineer's test run during a business trip to Paris. Mystery solved. Except many investigators found YouTube's explanation insufficient. Why use a public channel for internal testing? Why not make it private or unlisted? Why maintain it for years, accumulating tens of thousands of uploads, when surely the testing objectives would be met after dozens or hundreds of videos? And why, if it was purely technical testing, did the channel continue operating at the same relentless pace even after the mystery was solved? Some researchers noted peculiarities in the upload patterns. The videos weren't posted at perfectly regular intervals as you'd expect from a fully automated system. Instead, there were slight variations, gaps, clustering of uploads that suggested human intervention or manual triggering of the upload process. Moreover, analysis of the channel's metadata revealed inconsistencies. Some videos uploaded from IP addresses in the United States. Others from Europe. The geographic distribution didn't match what you'd expect from a single testing facility. To this day, WebDriver Torso continues uploading. As of the latest counts, the channel has exceeded 600 videos. All identical, all following that same 11-second format, all utterly, inscrutably meaningless, or meaningful in ways we cannot decipher. This is the unique horror of digital mysteries. Unlike physical puzzles that must eventually reveal their mechanisms when examined closely enough, digital enigmas can exist indefinitely in a state of quantum uncertainty. They can be exactly what they claim to be, while simultaneously being something else entirely. WebDriver Torso might truly be a testing channel, but the explanation doesn't preclude other uses. Steganography, sophisticated enough, could hide messages within the publicly available videos, while the cover story of technical testing deflects serious investigation. The sheer volume of content provides perfect camouflage. Who would manually review 600 nearly identical videos looking for subtle variations? Who has the time, resources, or motivation? Perhaps that's the point. These three cases, a 439, Lake City Quiet Pills, and WebDriver Torso, represent different categories of internet mystery, yet they share fundamental characteristics. They involve deliberate obscurity layered over public visibility. They're hidden in plain sight, existing where millions can see them yet remaining incomprehensible to observers. They demonstrate sophistication in their construction, suggesting organized effort rather than individual pranks. And crucially, they resist definitive resolution, existing in that liminal space between explained and unexplainable. But these are not the only examples. The internet teems with similar phenomena, each contributing to a growing catalog of digital unknowns. Perhaps the most famous internet mystery, Cicada 3003-101, appeared in January 2012 as a recruitment puzzle posted to 4chan. The image contained encrypted messages that led solvers through increasingly complex challenges involving cryptography, steganography, ancient texts, and even physical locations marked by posters in multiple countries. Those who solved the puzzles received private messages, then silence. The organization behind Cicada 3003-101 never revealed its purpose. Theories ranged from intelligence agency recruitment to cryptocurrency, ventures to philosophical societies seeking brilliant minds. The puzzles repeated in 2013 and 2014, then stopped. Whoever or whatever Cicada 3003-101 was, they found what they were looking for. And those recruits vanished into the same digital shadows from which the mystery emerged. In 2015, an Instagram account began posting photographs of abandoned industrial locations across the American Midwest. Warehouses, factories, rail yards, all derelict, all photographed with an eye for composition that suggested professional training. But in several images, barely visible in the backgrounds, were human figures, standing motionless, facing away from the camera. Too distant and dark to identify, but undeniably present. Users who attempted to visit the locations found them real. The photographs weren't manipulated. But no one ever found the figures, no evidence of people present when the photos were taken. The account posted for 18 months, accumulated 40,000 followers, then deleted everything overnight. The user never responded to messages, never explained the project, never revealed the purpose behind documenting these spaces and their mysterious occupants. The Wyoming incident ***. This case blurred the line between internet mystery and urban legend so completely that establishing objective facts became nearly impossible. According to the story, in 1987, a television station in Wyoming experienced a broadcast hijacking where disturbing images and sounds replaced normal programming for several minutes. The evidence was a low-quality video that circulated online in the mid-2000s, showing exactly such a hijacking: distorted faces, unsettling audio, cryptic text messages. Investigations revealed the video was almost certainly a creation of internet users, a digital campfire tale. Yet people claimed to remember the original broadcast. They described watching it as children, being traumatized by it, having parents who confirmed the event. False memory, collective delusion, or was there some kernel of truth buried beneath layers of digital mythology? The Wyoming incident demonstrates how internet mysteries can bootstrap themselves into existence through the power of shared belief, creating histories that may never have happened yet feel undeniably real to those who remember them. In 2015, a YouTube video appeared showing a figure in a plague doctor mask wandering through what appeared to be abandoned tunnels or bunkers. The video contained distorted audio, LED flashing lights, and cryptic hand gestures that some interpreted as code. Analysis of the audio revealed embedded messages in both binary and spectrograms. Some decoded fragments referenced locations, dates, and mysterious phrases. The figure's hand gestures, when analyzed, seemed to follow a pattern similar to signing for the deaf, though the words formed no coherent message. Unlike the mysteries previously discussed, 11BX1003-171 was eventually solved, or claimed to be, An investigator identified the creator as an artist doing an experimental horror project. The artist confirmed this explanation, released a follow-up video explaining the process, and the case was closed. Except many investigators rejected this resolution. They argued the solution raised more questions than it answered, that elements within the video suggested knowledge or access the identified creator shouldn't have possessed, that the confession itself might be part of. Misdirection. This highlights another aspect of internet mysteries. Even when solutions are offered, uncertainty persists. Proof becomes slippery. Consensus becomes impossible. In 2015, the affair-facilitating website Ashley Madison suffered a catastrophic data breach. Hackers released the personal information of 32 million users, exposing their names, addresses, and sexual preferences to public scrutiny. The aftermath was predictable: destroyed marriages, ruined careers, public humiliation, but it was also strange. Within weeks of the breach, reports emerged of multiple suicides linked to the exposure, but the exact number remained unclear. Different sources claimed different tallies. Some deaths couldn't be verified. Others had complex circumstances that made the Ashley Madison connection tenuous. The mystery wasn't whether any suicides occurred. They certainly did, and tragically. The mystery was the disconnect between reported deaths and verified deaths, between the narrative that formed online and the documented reality. It was as if the breach created a digital fog where facts dissolved, where the story told about the event became more real than the event itself. And in that fog, other questions emerged. Were some of the reported suicides fabrications designed to manipulate public opinion? Were there deaths that were covered up, families too ashamed to acknowledge the connection? Did some exposed users simply disappear, vanishing from their lives without dying, becoming ghosts by choice? The Ashley Madison case demonstrates how internet mysteries can emerge not from cryptic messages or strange videos, but from the gap between what happens and what we can verify happened. What makes these internet mysteries so particularly unsettling? Why do they haunt us in ways that traditional unsolved cases, tragic as they are, sometimes don't? The answer lies in the unique properties of digital space itself. When a person disappeared in the mountains of Appalachia in 1932, the mystery existed within comprehensible boundaries. Physical space, finite possibilities, the person went somewhere into the wilderness, into water, into the earth. The unknown was vast but conceptually graspable. When someone vanishes from the internet, they dissolve into pure abstraction. They don't go anywhere in the physical sense. They simply cease to generate data. Their absence is informational rather than spatial. And information, unlike matter, and where they can be won, are to be destroyed absolutely, leaving not even atoms behind. Consider the profound strangeness of this. In the physical world, evidence degrades but rarely disappears entirely. Bones persist for millennia. Buildings crumble but leave foundations. Even ash contains chemical traces of what burned. In the digital world, deletion can be absolute. When a server wipes its drives, when an account is permanently removed, when encryption keys are destroyed, the information doesn't just become inaccessible, it ceases to exist in any meaningful sense. The universe forgets, yet simultaneously, the internet never truly forgets. Screenshots persist. Archives capture, users download. The same data that can be deleted absolutely also propagates across thousands of hard drives, becoming effectively indestructible through sheer redundancy. This paradox, permanent memory and instant forgetting existing simultaneously, creates the perfect breeding ground for mysteries that resist resolution. But beneath all the digital obscurity, we must remember something crucial. These mysteries involve real people. Trail Marker, who investigated A439 and then vanished from the internet, was a real person. He had a life outside the forums where he posted. He had family, friends, responsibilities, dreams. His disappearance from digital space may represent nothing more than a decision to step away from online life. Or it may represent something darker. We don't know, we can't know. And that uncertainty transforms him from a person into a symbol, a day, a point in a larger pattern that may be coincidence or conspiracy. This is perhaps the greatest tragedy of internet mysteries, how they dehumanize the people at their centers, reducing individuals to usernames, avatars, fragments of text. We investigate posting patterns while forgetting that each post was typed by human hands, that each account represented someone who ate breakfast, felt joy and sadness, experienced the full complexity of conscious existence. The internet makes it easy to forget this humanity. When we interact solely through text on screens, other users become abstract entities, characters in a narrative we're constructing rather than people living their own stories. There's another disturbing aspect to these mysteries that deserves acknowledgement. The investigation process itself may perpetuate harm. When Trail Marker went silent, dozens of internet users tried to contact him, searched for information about his real identity, posted speculation about his fate. If he simply wanted to disconnect from online life, this attention was an invasion of privacy, a violation of his right to vanish voluntarily. But if something happened to him, if he encountered danger during his investigation, then that same attention might be justified, might even help solve the mystery or bring some form of justice. How do we navigate this ethical minefield? The same tools that allow us to investigate mysteries also enable stalking, harassment, doxing. The line between concerned research and invasive surveillance blurs until it becomes invisible. Good intentions provide no protection against causing harm. This is the double-edged nature of internet mystery solving. Every investigation walks the razor's edge between legitimate inquiry and violation of privacy. And we often can't know which side we're on until it's too late. Perhaps the most significant revelation from studying these cases isn't what they tell us about the internet, but what they reveal about ourselves. We are pattern-seeking creatures. We evolved to find meaning in scattered data, to identify threats in ambiguous situations, to construct narratives that explain the incomprehensible. These traits kept our ancestors alive when rustling grass might indicate a predator or just whined. But in the digital age, this pattern-seeking tendency encounters an environment specifically designed to generate ambiguous signals. The internet produces noise at a scale and speed that overwhelms our cognitive filters. We see patterns everywhere because we're biologically programmed to see them, even when they don't exist. Pareidolia, seeing faces in random shapes, has a digital equivalent, seeing conspiracy in coincidence, intention in automation, meaning in randomness. Yet we cannot simply dismiss every internet mystery as pareidolia, because some of them are real. A439 involved actual coordinates leading to actual locations. Lake City Quiet Pills discussed actual crimes with verifiable details. The challenge isn't determining whether mysteries exist, they do, but distinguishing genuine enigmas from our tendency to create them. These mysteries remain unsolved not necessarily because they're unsolvable, but because solving them would require resources, access, and authority that amateur internet investigators lack. A439 could potentially be solved if European law enforcement agencies coordinated a serious investigation, pooled resources, examined all the coordinate locations with forensic thoroughness, and dedicated significant manpower to tracking the video upload's true origin despite the technical obfuscation. Lake City Quiet Pills could potentially be unraveled if intelligence agencies applied their considerable digital surveillance capabilities, cross-referenced posting patterns with travel records and financial transactions, and pursued leads with the full weight of law enforcement power. But these investigations don't happen for a simple reason. The cases don't meet the threshold of urgency that would justify such resource allocation. No verified crimes, no identified victims, no clear jurisdiction, just strange videos, cryptic posts, and circumstantial connections that might mean everything or nothing. So the mysteries persist in a liminal space, too substantial to dismiss entirely, but too ambiguous to pursue officially. And perhaps that's exactly where their creators intended them to remain. What happens to these mysteries as time passes? Do they fade like old photographs, their details blurring until they become indistinguishable from fiction? Or do they persist with perfect clarity, frozen in digital amber? The answer is both and neither. Some internet mysteries achieve a kind of immortality through documentation. Wikis catalog every detail, YouTube videos analyze every frame, Reddit threads stretch for thousands of comments. The mysteries become self-sustaining narratives, generating content about content, investigations about investigations. Others simply vanish. The accounts are deleted, the websites shut down, the forums abandoned. And without active communities to keep them alive, these mysteries drift into the forgotten depths of the internet, accessible only to those who know exactly what to search for. But here's what's certain: new mysteries are emerging constantly. Right now, somewhere on the internet, someone is posting something strange, uploading something cryptic, creating something that will, in months or years, become the next great unexplained phenomenon that keeps investigators awake at night, scrolling through archives, connecting dots that may or may not form a meaningful pattern. The cycle continues, the digital darkness deepens. And we, compelled by curiosity and that ancient pattern, seeking instinct, continue peering into it, knowing that it peers back. These cases from the 2000s and early 2010 represent a specific era of internet culture before social media centralization, before algorithmic curation, before the major platforms implemented sophisticated moderation and monitoring systems. The wild, lawless internet that birthed these mysteries is fading. Anonymity becomes harder. Platforms log everything. AI systems scan content for violations. The space where strange, inexplicable things could flourish is gradually being cultivated, tamed, made safe. But mystery, like water, finds its own level. As the surface internet becomes more regulated, the shadows simply move deeper, into encrypted channels, darknets, spaces designed specifically to resist observation and control. The mysteries of tomorrow will be even harder to investigate than those we've discussed tonight. They'll use cryptocurrency to obscure financial trails. They'll communicate through steganography that hides messages within innocuous images. They'll employ techniques we haven't imagined yet, staying perpetually ahead of investigators. And perhaps that's appropriate. Perhaps mystery, genuine uncertainty, the presence of the unknowable, serves an essential function in human psychology. We need spaces where not everything is explained, where possibility exceeds certainty, where wonder and fear can coexist without immediate resolution. The internet, for all its problems and dangers, provides this in abundance. If these stories captivate you, if you find yourself drawn to investigating digital mysteries, consider this carefully before proceeding. Remember the humanity behind every username. These are not characters in a game, but real people with real lives. Investigation should never cross into harassment. Curiosity should never override ethics. Question your own pattern. Seeking tendencies. Are you finding genuine evidence or constructing elaborate narratives from coincidence? The human mind is extraordinarily good at making connections that don't exist. Skepticism about your own conclusions is as important as skepticism about official explanations. Consider the consequences of solving a mystery. Sometimes revelations cause more harm than the original mystery. Sometimes the truth destroys lives. This doesn't mean mysteries shouldn't be investigated, but it means investigators bear responsibility for the outcomes of their work. And finally, accept uncertainty. Not every mystery needs solving. Not every question has an answer. Sometimes the most mature response is to acknowledge what cannot be known and make peace with that limitation. The story of Internet mysteries is ultimately the story of humanity encountering a new dimension of existence, digital space, and trying to navigate it with cognitive tools evolved for physical reality. We are pioneers in terra incognita, mapping territories that have no fixed geography, encountering phenomena that have no precedent in human history. We make mistakes, we see patterns that aren't there, we miss obvious explanations while pursuing elaborate theories. But we also, sometimes, glimpse genuine mysteries, phenomena that resist explanation not because we lack understanding, but because they're genuinely incomprehensible with our current frameworks. A439 may be art, crime, or something we lack the categories to describe. Lake City quiet pills may be role, playing, murder, for hire, or a phenomenon operating according to logic we cannot parse. WebDriver torso may be exactly what YouTube claims while simultaneously being something else entirely. The uncertainty isn't a failure of investigation, it's an inherent property of the medium itself. And perhaps that's the ultimate lesson. In the digital age, mystery isn't something to be eliminated through careful investigation, but something to be understood as fundamental to the landscape we inhabit. The internet will always have dark corners, will always generate ambiguous signals, will always produce phenomena that resist easy categorization. We can choose to find this terrifying or fascinating, probably both. The mysteries we've explored tonight, A439's cryptic coordinates leading across Europe, Lake City quiet pills chilling discussions of murder, for hire, WebDriver torso's endless geometric videos, and all the other strange phenomena that haunt digital space, these are not merely entertaining puzzles or disturbing curiosities. They are symptoms of a larger transformation in human existence. We have created a new realm, cyberspace, that operates according to rules different from physical reality. In this realm, presence and absence become ambiguous, truth and fiction intertwine inextricably, distance becomes meaningless while isolation becomes absolute. And in creating this new realm, we've also created new forms of mystery, new ways for the unknowable to manifest. The story of these internet mysteries remains a disturbing reminder that technology, for all its promise of transparency and connection, also generates shadows deeper than any we've known before. That in our rush to digitize, catalog, and connect everything, we've simultaneously created infinite hiding places for secrets we may never uncover. But questions remain. What happened to Trailmarker after his final post about the A439 coordinates? Did he simply tire of the investigation and move on with his life, or did something darker transpire? If Lake City quiet pills was real, how many people died because of arrangements made through Reddit comments and private messages? And if it wasn't real, why did it correspond so precisely with real-world events? What is WebDriver torso truly testing after all these years and hundreds of thousands of uploads? And what purpose does such relentless, mechanical content generation serve? These questions have no answers. Perhaps they never will. To this day, people still search for a 439 patterns, still analyze Lake City quiet pills archives, still watch WebDriver torso videos looking for the one frame that breaks the pattern. The investigations continue in forum threads and YouTube comments, in Discord servers and subreddits, wherever people gather to peer into digital darkness and try to make sense of what they see. And on silent nights, when you're alone with your glowing screen, scrolling through content that blurs together into endless feeds of information and noise, you might encounter something strange. A post that seems off, a video that shouldn't exist, a pattern that suggests intention without revealing purpose. And you'll have to decide, do you investigate, knowing the rabbit hole might lead nowhere or somewhere you'd rather not go? Or do you scroll past, accepting that some mysteries are better left unexplored? Either choice carries consequences. If this journey through the darkest corners of the digital age resonated with you, if you find yourself pondering what other mysteries lurk in the spaces between our screens and our reality, then consider subscribing to this channel. There are many more stories waiting to be told, mysteries buried not in earth but in data, phenomena that challenge our understanding of truth, identity, and existence itself. Leave a like if this exploration provoked reflections that go beyond mere entertainment, if it made you see the internet, this thing we interact with every day, in a new and perhaps unsettling light. And comment sharing your own perspectives. Have you encountered unexplained phenomena online? Do you believe these mysteries represent genuine enigmas or elaborate fiction? Where do you draw the line between healthy curiosity and dangerous obsession? The conversation continues beyond this video, in the comments, in your own investigations, in the collective attempt to understand what we've created and what it means for the future of human experience. Until next time, remember, the internet never forgets, but it doesn't always remember truthfully. The line between the two is where mystery lives. Welcome to the Untold Hour.